All right, welcome to another episode of Crossing Home Plate. Glad to have my partner here with both CBF and Crossing Home Plate, the 13-year major leaguer, Texas Ranger, and a Baltimore Oriole, all-star, two-time home run champ, all that kind of fun stuff. Chris Davis. Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you.
And today, man, we're excited to have with us really kind of the last founding member of College Baseball Fellowship and our one and only current major leaguer, Cody Bradford.
Thanks.
Welcome, Cody.
Thank you. Hopefully the current players continue to grow as well.
Yeah, let's get some more current players. That'd be fun. Yeah, let's just kind of jump right in. We'll go into kind of college career and pro career and all that kind of fun stuff. But just kind of to begin with, what was growing up like? I know local guy and shoot, like CD here, you got the chance to play for your home team in a way, but we'll get there. But what was growing up like?
Yeah, born and raised in Aledo, Texas. Been there my entire life. A lot of people, when you say you're from Aledo, they're like, "Oh, so you moved in when you were in high school or middle school?" And it's like, no, like my mom graduated from Aledo High School back in the day.
Okay.
So my family's been there for generations. Had a great childhood. Grew up playing all the sports. Had parents that loved me, older sister that was really dedicated and applied herself really well in school. And so coming up, academics was a big focal point in the household, and sister, like I said, was really smart, and so there's a little bit of competition, sibling competition between that, and but no, I can't complain about growing up in Aledo. My grandparents lived down the road, and got to go hunting and fishing with Pawpaw, and got to learn how to shoot guns and just do stuff outside, which was a lot of fun, and yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
So you played all sports, so I guess football, basketball, baseball, we really didn't have that much hockey down here. So I'm guessing.
Yeah, not much hockey. Got to high school and started, kind of weeding out the sports that I wasn't very good at. Football was one of them. Never played football in high school. Played up until that point, but realized pretty quickly I wasn't as physical as some of the other guys were, and baseball was a bigger passion. So kind of stuck with baseball, dabbled with tennis my freshman year, and then picked up track later in high school, junior and senior year.
So in those, how much on the baseball side, how much did you land into? Were you playing travel ball, select teams? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, most people growing up in Aledo played just rec baseball.
Okay.
Until you got to maybe your second or third year at kid pitch. And we didn't have Little League. We had Pony Elite. I don't know if people even know what that is anymore. But, I played rec until I was probably 11 or 12 years old, just because select wasn't. It was still kind of up and coming at that point. And then once you kind of made an all-star team, you're like, hey, maybe you should go play with this select team with some of the other buddies. And so kind of the coach that I had grown up playing with and my dad took our team and went to the select side, and then we played select until high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you end up traveling around a bunch, or was it?
Played for a couple different ones in high school. Played for one I really enjoyed called the Burke Burnett Black Sox.
Oh yeah.
Up by Wichita Falls, and pretty far away. It was like 2.5, 3 hour drive up to Wichita Falls from Aledo. And the summers there, it was really unique because all the guys would stay in dorms up there. The parents would go kind of drop you off, and I remember we found that team, and my dad had mentioned it to me, and he'd asked if that was something that I'd be interested in. And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe. He's like, well, do you want to play college baseball one day? I'm in middle school, freshman year of high school, and was thinking about it. Would love the opportunity, but definitely wasn't talented enough to have scholarships or any looks that early in baseball, and was like, my dad had mentioned, maybe give that a shot. Go live for the summer in a dorm with other guys and see if you like the grind every single day of baseball. And I really fell in love with it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So, and then what was kind of your high school career like in terms of baseball? Were you
high school career, freshman team, sophomore year, JV. Didn't make varsity until junior year. Hit a growth spurt, started throwing a little bit harder, and then pitched quite a bit junior year. Made playoffs, went to the state tournament, and then senior year, pitched every week. So yeah.
Okay. And then, so obviously recruited by Baylor, but who else? What was kind of in the works there?
Yeah. I listened to Sean Tollison's interview last week, and Sean sounds like he was the guy coming through youth baseball, right?
Yeah.
Flamethrower, just the guy.
Yeah.
You want to talk about his record against CD? We could.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
That was not me at all. I think senior year of high school, my best bullet was probably 88, maybe 89.
Okay.
So I really just had to fill it up, learn to throw multiple pitches from a young age for strikes, and kind of ride the command wave to get to college. And had 2 college offers on the table, one to SFA at Nacogdoches and one to Baylor.
Okay.
And had good academics. It would help me get a little bit of money there, and
sure.
So that helped. It was expensive, but that's what we ended up choosing. So
yeah.
I got a daughter there. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Promise you.
Yeah.
So no, that was great. So you get there, and then I'm not sure the timing. I think your freshman year, you got to tell how you met your wife, Maddie. That's a great story. So we at least got to dive in there for a second.
Okay. Yeah. I never dated in high school. Never had a girlfriend. Freshman year of college rolls around. Not really interested. Focused on baseball. Just trying to pass some classes and hang out with the boys. And one day, me and my roommate are sitting in my room, and my printer starts going off in my bedroom. And I thought my roommate Alex was using it for something. I was like, oh, it's cool, whatever. Keeps going. Walk in there, there's 25, 30 copies of a business resume printed off in colored ink too. And I had just set up the printer and just bought colored ink for the first time in my life. So realized it's not cheap.
No.
And so I was like, Alex, what's going on, man? It's cool if you want to use it, but maybe I ask next time. He's like, Cody, it's not me. So we go in there and look, and we're just like, who is right on the business resume? Madison O'Neill, never heard of her. So we do what any college kid does. We go on social media, look her up, and she was on the softball team. Turns out her bedroom was on the other side of my wall in the apartment complex that we were in. And she had just connected to my Bluetooth on the printer, and I guess was just
printing away.
Spam printing, just angry clicking, why isn't this printing on my printer type of deal. And anyways, I emailed her email that was on there and was like, hey, it seems pretty urgent. Got 25 colored copies of your business resume.
Yeah.
I'll bring it over. What unit are you in, or what apartment are you in? And so she emailed back a day or two later and dropped it off. Her roommate answered. And then we really didn't meet face to face until a couple weeks later at FCA Bible study.
Okay.
We were just going around the group introducing ourselves, and she introduced herself as Madison O'Neill. And I was like, I recognize that name. Recognize her. Where do I know you from? That's the printer girl.
Yeah.
That's the
So
printer girl.
went up, introduced myself, and we became friends, and we started dating a couple months later.
That's
Very
crazy.
Yeah. So
Very cool. And then so you get in, you're playing baseball, and that's really, you're coming to Christ was somewhere there in your sophomore year. Is that right?
I would say so. I grew up in a small Baptist church, going to church every Sunday. When select baseball started, the focus was definitely Sundays. We're going to skip church. We're going to go to the tournament and be part of the team. And I think similar to Sean and similar to Cody Allen, there was an understanding that I knew about Christ. I knew, that the Bible answers, right? What did Christ do? He died for my sins.
Right.
But there was a misunderstanding there and a spiritual immaturity. Definitely that was evident in my life through high school and probably into my freshman and sophomore year of college. And there was just for me, it was more of a legalist understanding of the gospel.
Yeah.
That, hey, I don't smoke, drink, or chew, or date girls who do.
Yeah.
And so I'm good with God, and God loves me for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it wasn't until sophomore year of college, I had made the Cape summer team up there, and was playing really good competition and probably having the most success in baseball that I'd had up to that point in my life. And just, behind closed doors was struggling with some sins of the flesh, and that I think a lot of guys do struggle with these days, and realized that I just wasn't living out a life and wasn't proving what I was saying I believed in.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine from college had actually sent me a video from Jonathan Bacluta, was preaching at the Porch Ministry at Watermark Church in Dallas.
Yeah.
And phenomenal ministry up there for young adults. Highly recommend it. And it was on lust and self-control. And I watched that video and was like, man, one of the examples he used in that video, I was like, I identify a lot with that. That's me.
Yeah.
And just felt like a hypocrite. Kind of had just an emotional breakdown in the Cape. On my own with a host family, kind of shoved upstairs in a small house on the Cape, and just not happy, thinking, there's got to be something more.
Yeah.
Came back, hit my innings limit for that year, came back early from summer ball a couple weeks later, and met with the chaplain of our baseball team at the time, Stanton Corley, and just confessed for the first time in my life a lot of the things that I was struggling with, and didn't understand even where that vulnerability was coming from. But I remember just feeling a burden being lifted from my shoulders.
Yeah.
And Stanton just pouring into me saying, Cody, this is why Christ died for you.
Yeah.
Like all the reasons that you're feeling the guilt, the shame of some of these sins, like this is exactly why Christ died for you.
Yeah.
Like the burden's on him now. Your yoke is easy. And I just remember having finally like a real life picture, like, wow, like that's what God's grace is. That's what God's grace has done for me. Yeah. It's not something that I can earn. It's not something that we can live up to. What Christ has accomplished on the cross is once and for all.
Yeah.
So
were you a guy at this point in time? I mean, if you're going to the Cape Cod League, for anybody who knows baseball, that's probably the best college summer baseball league. Was there evidence that you were going to get drafted? Were you talking to anybody? I mean, you said you were a sophomore, so you weren't draft eligible yet. But was it a reality? Was it on your radar?
Mm-hmm. It finally started to be. It never was. I think I was always the guy in high school that was like, hey, maybe I'll play college baseball. Yeah. Got an offer, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm playing college baseball. Once I got to college, maybe I'll start. I don't know.
Yeah.
Freshman year comes by, I'm starting. Okay. Sophomore year of college, like not even really thinking about pro ball, just want to play in college, but had a lot of success sophomore year. And then made the Team USA trials in Cary, North Carolina, out of the Cape. And I think going there and playing with some of those guys, like ton of first rounders. I mean, Adley Rushman was there, Spencer Torkelson was there. I mean, just guys who I never dreamed of being around in the same company. Got to like be there for a week, and that was like the first time that agents started reaching out and teams started reaching out, and me and my dad were like, whoa, we might play professional baseball one day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. No, that's great. So from that point, how did your walk change, right? How did life start to work around your faith, and what were there new habits starting to be put in place, and new guys you were hanging out with? What'd that look like?
Yeah. First thing that happened, I'd say, coming back at the start of junior year, there was a group of guys that had got together the previous year and started up a little Bible study that they were calling The Porch. Because they would just live stream The Porch or watch it the next day.
Sure.
Again, the Porch Ministry from JP from Watermark.
Yeah.
And it was actually hosted by two guys that didn't play baseball, that somewhere they had met at the business school or something. And those two guys had opened up their home invited us in. They were older, a lot more mature in their faith. And that was the first time I remember being surrounded by a biblical community of guys that were openly confessing things that I was like, oh, like I struggle with that too.
Right.
Oh, like, wait, you identify sometimes with your success or failures on the field? Like, so do I. Or you struggle with this, so do I. And I just remember growing. It was a season of growth and learning how to be vulnerable with teammates and just with people that I didn't know for the first time in my entire life. And that was something that was new and just really exciting for me.
Sure.
I really looked forward to getting to go be a part of that each week.
Yeah. No, and I think what's and if anybody's not familiar with Jonathan Pokluda, who's down at Harris Creek in Waco, if you want to live stream that, I think one of the things that they do so well, and it's out of Watermark, and then Harris Creek does this. It's just that confession and repentance is a normative part that's built into their home groups or their community groups, life groups, I think is what they call them, right? Every church has their own term, right? So and I think I've seen that so much with folks who've come through their programs, and there's talk about kind of the freedom that's on the other side of that confession, and maybe so even you. I mean,
well, I think once you get it out and you realize, to your point, that you're not alone, I think you don't feel like you're carrying the burden by yourself.
Yeah.
And the Bible clearly tells us to bear one another's burden. So I think really when you're struggling with sin, especially as a baseball player, because I feel like you have to put on this face, that you've got everything together, that you're headed in the right direction. I think once you start you start confessing these things and realizing that the guys in the room are struggling with a lot of the same things, then you can start some of the reparation and some of the spiritual growth, and you start to really understand more that your salvation isn't something that you earn, and it's not something that you can work for. It's something that's given to you freely. And for me, I think it really unlocked a lot of potential inside of me. It took a little bit of pressure off me, because I knew that ultimately, no matter what happened on the baseball field, that God still loved me and has designed me for a greater purpose. And so it allowed me to really kind of tap into the gifts that He'd given me and really enjoy the game of baseball more.
Yeah. I think to speak on what you just said, Chris, is like the depth of joy that you get from playing a game now that maybe before there's identity issues that's tying you down. There's this, this idea that you have to put on the face because, I mean, you said it before, but like we're taught to be stoic I remember one of my select coaches tell me, or talking to the team about being stoic as a pitcher, not letting people understand if you're scared, if you're nervous, like take it to the batter. You want to be aggressive. Right. You want to make sure you're keeping those emotions in. Well, sure, that's really beneficial, or it can be beneficial on the field, but also when you start taking that into life, I think a lot of struggles start happening as well. So I think I've heard it said one time, repentance is like, it's not just asking for forgiveness or confessing, right? It's a turn, it's a change in action, and it's a turning of your heart.
Yeah.
And so there's an act of repentance that takes place before you can receive salvation, but then after, there's also confession that happens to God, and then to your fellow believers, and that's how healing takes place.
No, it's great. So, and thank you guys both for kind of walking through that. That's awesome. So, we get into your sophomore year is pretty good, and then your junior year you get hurt, and that kind of puts a little stop there. But then, hey, we get drafted in 19th, right, by the Texas Rangers. So guys are going through the draft. We talked about this a minute ago. Right now, what was the day after? So you get drafted. What's like the day after, the week after for you there? What's going on?
So I had thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, TOS surgery, my junior year. Pitched like 7 innings, and then got shut down, redshirted. So wasn't even sure if I was going to get drafted.
Okay.
I had proposed to Maddie at the time, so we were engaged.
Okay.
I was expecting to get drafted prior to that year.
Sure.
And so obviously surgery brings a little bit of not knowing what's next, uncertainty for sure.
Yeah.
And end up getting drafted in the 6th round by Texas. And then, yeah, the week after, I was still in rehab for TOS, so I went straight to Arizona. Like as soon as I got drafted and was on a flight, probably a couple days later, and finishing rehab out there in AZ for a couple months.
That's pretty impressive. You got drafted while you were hurt. Like that tells you about how good of a year you had. You must have had your sophomore year, and how well you must have thrown in the Cape.
Yeah.
To be a 6th round pick that just had surgery. That's pretty impressive, man.
I look back on it and just it's hard to see like God's hand at work in the moment.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a time on draft day when we're on the phone with our agent, and it was just like, hey, this team might pick you in the 3rd round, or this team might pick you in the 4th round. Kind of the anticipation of that, and 3rd round goes by, 4th round goes by, 5th round, and 6th round's like that's not that late. Like that's still pretty high.
That's still high.
But just remembering like, okay, well I guess we're going back to college, and just trusting, whatever happens, it's it's God's way. It's not our will, and so we pray that His will would be done, and we're just going to trust Him in that. But it's cool that the Rangers took a flyer pick in the 6th round on a guy that didn't pitch that year, and so I'm really blessed to be able to call the Rangers the team that I'm playing for right now.
Did that make a difference in your decision? The fact that it was the Rangers, like.
I feel like it definitely did. But what my roommate, one of my roommates at the time too, was drafted in the 1st round by them, Davis Wenzel.
Okay.
Who was our 3rd baseman at Baylor that year, and he got drafted by Texas. And then I got drafted.
Yeah.
I remember like he was one of the first guys I called. I was like, Dave, I just got drafted by Texas. I think I might go. Like I think I might do it. So it was really exciting.
I was the same way for me. I remember I was a 5th round pick. And the fact that it was the Rangers, because I had committed to go to the University of Arkansas and really wanted to play SEC baseball.
Yeah.
And really wanted to try to play Division I college baseball. And I remember that being a factor. I'm like, man, I grew up watching these guys, like Nolan Ryan, Pudge, all Rusty Greer, like, and now I get a chance to play for them. Like, I think I'm going to take a flyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crossing Home Plate is sponsored by College Baseball Fellowship. College Baseball Fellowship exists to reach college baseball players with the transformative truth of the gospel, founded on a passion for both the game and the glory of Christ. CBF connects current and former MLB players with collegiate athletes, creating opportunities for mentorship, discipleship, and authentic spiritual growth. If you're a college coach or player and would like our team to visit, or you'd like to support CBF, you can learn more at collegebaseballfellowship.org. You head out there. Maddie, I guess, is still back in school. Finishing up, or
she had finished. She graduated early, and she played softball in college, and was thinking about if she wanted to go back for her 4th year of eligibility and maybe work on her master's or something else.
Sure.
But since we did decide to go to the Rangers, we wanted to really get married and be out of college and just be a married couple.
Sure.
And so she decided not to go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she got to travel with you from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She did.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So drafted in 2019, and then so you get a fall you're working through, and then hey, guess what? COVID the next year. So what was kind of COVID year like for you?
COVID for me, we went to spring training. It got shut down, and then Maddie and I quickly moved in with her parents because we had no idea what to do. We were a couple months newlyweds, and moved in with them in Houston. I played catch with her 2 younger brothers. I think both of them were in high school at the time. Threw live BPs to them and their buddies at their high school field, which was honestly a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think her youngest brother was maybe a freshman or sophomore in high school, so it was fun getting to pump 90 miles an hour in there to him.
Yeah.
He thought it was a blast. But COVID was great. It gave us a lot of time together as a married couple. And I remember the college pastor at our church at the time, when we were in college, when we first got engaged, had sat me down. We went and got coffee after we got engaged, and he actually asked me, didn't know a lot about baseball, and he said, Cody, you know, in the Bible it talks about in the Old Testament when a husband gets married to the wife, he actually doesn't have to go into the army for the first year. He gets to stay home, and the husband and wife get a full year together to just grow in that relationship. And is that something, if you want to get drafted, do you think you'd be able to tell a baseball team that you just want to stay home for the first year? And I was like, oh, man, I don't think I could tell a team that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works like that,
Yeah.
but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so we get married at the end of 2019. Maddie and I both go to spring training. COVID happens. And then what do you know? There's no baseball, and we're together for over an entire year.
Yeah.
So the first year of our marriage was really, really special in that moment. Yeah.
That's great. So we get through the minors, and hey, guess what? You get called up to the Texas Rangers, who were in the process of working towards their one and only World Series championship.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that like? Call up, and what was that?
It was super exciting. Debuted against the Atlanta Braves in May of 2023, making a spot start.
Okay.
My first few outings in the majors were spot starts. Kind of, you come up, spot start, go back down, come up, start, go back down, kind of up and down game. And then came up and pitched well in one of my spot starts. And Boach was like, "Hey, do you think you could pitch out of the bullpen?" "Sure, coach." "Do I get to stay in the big leagues?" "Sure, yeah. I'll do whatever you want me to do."
Wherever you want.
And Mike Maddox kind of helped me transition to that. "Hey, we probably need to shorten your routine a little bit. You've never pitched out of the bullpen, but you're going to learn how to." And kind of stuck in the bullpen role for the rest of that year, and then into the playoffs, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a guy in the bullpen or maybe even in the rotation that you kind of leaned on that, had been around a while and had been in the big leagues and had some success that helped you out?
Yeah. I mean, from early on, Nathan Uvalde was like a huge leader in the clubhouse for the pitchers, and just a guy that was led by example, was selfless, and just really good at making the younger guys felt like they belonged there.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated his leadership and just his encouragement in that. And he was a starter, and even though I was kind of spot starting and then got to the bullpen, he was a guy that would come watch your bullpen midweek, even though he's got something to do or has a lift or something. Just taking time out of his day to come do that for a younger guy meant a lot to me.
Yeah. That's good.
But we had a great bullpen. There were guys, Aroldis Chapman, who's phenomenal. We had Martin Perez, who was starting and then kind of out of the bullpen a little bit. A lot of really good left-handed pitchers too.
Yeah,
they were transitioning, and that I got to lean on. So
I forgot Martin was still there.
Yeah.
So you talk about Nathan coming and watching your bullpen and stuff like that. What are some of those things that he'd actually say? What are those encouragements and beyond, hey, he was just a great encourager, but what are some of those specifics that he talked to you about?
Yeah, Evo was really good at kind of listening to what the pitching coaches were recommending during a bullpen. And, it's really hard when you're trying to work on something and you have a lot of voices in your head. One pitching coach might be saying something else, another guy might be saying something else. Evo was really good at just helping you walk through that afterwards and be like, hey, what do you think? What do you think you're feeling? What do you think you want to do?
Yeah.
And then here's what I see.
Yeah.
Mechanically or pitch shape wise or mentality wise. Just slowing the game down for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very veteran thing to do.
Yeah.
It's hard. You get to a point when you're in your career where I don't know if it's just by seeing other guys do it or if you just learn so much about yourself and your competition, and the league, has a book on you, and you kind of know who you are in their eyes. But you get to a point where the game really does slow down, and it becomes much more enjoyable, because when you first get called up to the big leagues, it's like, holy cow, I'm here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that you have to learn on the fly that don't even deal with the game of baseball, like how to dress in the club out or on the road, how to take care of the club, like all of these things that nobody talks to you about. And it's a very unique moment, and it's always good to have. I think that's one of the things about the Rangers organization that I really appreciated, is that they just had genuinely good dudes. Like, they were just good guys on the team. The group that I was fortunate enough to play with, they were just class acts, and it was like, yeah, we gave each other a hard time, and I had to wear it every now and then because I was a rookie, but I always knew that guys genuinely cared about me, and even getting sent down and called back up, it was like I was always welcomed in whenever I got called back up, and when I got sent down, there was always somebody there to pat me on the back and tell me to keep my head up. And it's just, I've always really thought that about not only I saw that in Baltimore too, but I was there for a decade, but I really appreciated that about the Rangers organization.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's great. So you're fortunate being a Baylor, you had a chaplain to begin with. And then, of course, once you hit pro ball, you've got chaplains all along the way. But what's kind of I think we've talked before about the fact that, this is kind of this lately in life. It's the first time you've really been, especially as a married couple, to really cultivate a community that you've been able to consistently keep as a Christian community, brothers and sisters to walk along. Why is that hard? And Chris, you can talk about this too. How hard is that in baseball in general, and what kind of made your group special that's working?
Yeah, I mean, Maddie and I always wanted to be part of an active members of a church. And so after we got married, the first few off seasons, we were living in Waco, and JP had taken the head pastor job at Harris Creek. And so we started attending Harris Creek regularly during the off season. But it's hard to connect with people and want to be intentional with people when a week from now or 2 weeks or a month, you're going to be on. You're going to go to spring training, and for 6 or 7 months out of the year, like, you're not there physically. Yeah. And so it's just hard to develop the depth of relationship or the intentionality of relationships when you're physically not present. Mm-hmm. And so I think being with the Rangers now, living in DFW full time, just God gave us the opportunity to finally be part of a church.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, something that I don't wish upon anybody, but in my career right now with the Rangers, last year I was hurt for a couple months, and now I've undergone elbow surgery. Sure. So I've spent a considerable amount of time on the IL, which at this point, I think I might have spent more days on the IL than on the active roster. Yeah. And I feel like I'm my third full season of pro ball or in the big leagues. But the silver lining of that is it's helped us be intentional with the people that God's put in our life and our community.
Yeah.
And we've been able to join a life group and help co-lead that with another couple at our church. And it's been really, really cool to get to learn about others, and just grow in friendships with people that are outside of baseball that may not even know about baseball. It's exciting to make new friends.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, and we don't obviously talk a lot about. But you're here for 3 or 4 months in the off season, and then you leave for 7 or 8 months. And when you come back, people are in different phases of their lives. We could be friends, and hang out in January and February, and then we come back in September or October, and you're in a different place in your life. You got, and we're in the same for us. So I think the really cool thing that Jill and I saw was the relationships that we had in baseball, that we kind of locked arms with those people, and we hosted a Bible study almost every year in spring training, and we had a team chaplain who, he would take care of the guys, and then his wife would do a Bible study with the girls. But, it takes work. And I think that's one thing that, as a college baseball player that wants to be that aspires to be a professional baseball player, that's one thing that I would encourage them is be intentional about your faith. Take ownership and accountability, and take the reins and seek out those relationships to where you can grow. And Jill and I have been very fortunate to meet a lot of people in the game of baseball that have helped us grow spiritually, really guided us through our spiritual walk, and yeah, we wouldn't be the same people today if we hadn't met those people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. So if you think, I mean, you actually, a lot of guys I think look back and go, man, I wish I'd done college a lot different.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of your college, you go, hey, that was actually, there was some good stuff going on there. Is there anything that you, maybe, even if it's not you personally, you saw other guys going through that you'd look back and go, man, I'd really encourage a college player to think about this or do this different or have this focus?
Yeah. It was something I learned after college, when I was in AA. But it's something that I know, we've talked about before, is just the identity piece of being a baseball player, but then like you're going to be a former baseball player a lot longer than you are an active one.
Yeah.
And there was a point when I was in AA in 2022, we were like halfway through the season, and I had like an 8 or 9 ERA. I was getting shelled.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And didn't know why. Was throwing harder than I had before in the past. And so I was just really struggling with, on the field, the pressure and expectations of how I was supposed to be performing versus how I actually was. And for the first time, I really struggled with the identity piece.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home and just feeling my emotions wavering on how I performed that week, or how my midweek bullpen was, or just what was going on the field was, well, it was starting to come home. And Maddie asked me one night, she was like, what are you so worried about? And I remember kind of just breaking down, and, you never want to admit that you cry as a grown man, but like,
right.
I started crying. I was like, babe, I don't know. I don't know if I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Like, what if I'm not good enough anymore? Like, what if this is it? What if I'm a AA baseball player? And he's like, okay, what if you are?
Yeah.
What if this is it? Like, answer the question. And I was like, oh, gosh, like, I guess I'll go get a job and we'll be a normal family and we'll get to be home and we'll get to be part of a church, and, God will still provide and take care of us in that way. And it was that moment when I really felt God working in my heart to be like, hey, Cody, like, there's so much more to baseball.
Yeah.
Like, you've been gifted this opportunity, make the most of it, enjoy it, but there's so much more to baseball. And I wish in college I had understood that.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell people in college, because not everybody in college is going to get the opportunity to play at the next level. And so understanding that even though it's hard to take yourself out of that position and see life as so much more and have like an eternal perspective on things, that's what God's calling us to do as soon as we accept the free gift that he's already given us.
Yeah.
It's like our mindset, our whole mindset should be changed.
I feel like that's a common theme with everybody that we've had on the podcast, and a lot of guys that I played with or against, that I've had conversations with. There's this moment that you finally get to in your career, and some guys it's in pro ball, some guys it's in college, some guys it's after they're done. But you realize that you don't have to put all this pressure on yourself, because at the end of the day, like, you need to be free and you need to be able to enjoy the game. I mean, that's the reason that we all started playing. It was because we loved it and we were good at it. But I feel like everybody that I've talked to has had the same kind of moment to where it's like, man, I'm so tired of this pressure, and they have kind of answered that question, what if, it doesn't work out? And then you kind of start thinking about, okay, maybe it could be taken away, and then you let go. And when you let go, then God is able to really like show you how much he has gifted you and show you how much fun you can have, and really, you talked about it earlier and I love the word, but show you how joyful it can be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I would encourage guys is, man, just enjoy the opportunity that you've given, whether you max out in college or high school or pro ball. enjoy the time, because at some point, if you play long enough, it's going to become a job, and it gets become much harder to enjoy. It really does.
Yeah, I think in general, like the theme has been, hey, there's only so much we can control.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, like you said, you're throwing a higher velocity than you had at any time in your life. So, seemingly, hey, we should be doing better, right? And then there's no control. So, what switched then? At some point, something obviously switched to where you started getting guys out.
Yeah.
Just happened, or something?
I mean, from a baseball standpoint, there were things that I was just overlooking, and a lot of it was command, location of fastballs, pitch usage, things like that. But I think wrapped into that was still like, why wasn't I able to slow the game down enough to realize, oh, maybe I'm just throwing my fastball down the middle of the plate too much. I think it came back to like the expectations that, oh, I'm just going to get this guy out, fail to do so, and now the pressure builds.
Yeah.
And it just speeds the game up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And talk a little bit about that too, the jump. When you get to Double-A as a baseball player, did you have that? Was it like, okay, now I'm getting close,
Yeah.
Because I think the understanding is that the majority of your big prospects, like once you get to Double-A, then you're essentially one call away from the big leagues. But talk about that too, being in Double-A, and did you feel that? Were you like, okay, now this is a reality that I could potentially be a big leaguer?
No, you're exactly right. Like Double-A is the point where some organizations, maybe not so much from the Rangers, but I know the Seattle Mariners are a great example. A lot of their pitchers that they debut are straight out of Double-A.
Yeah.
They don't want them to go pitch in the PCL and Triple-A, so they'll call them straight out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And the year before, I had made it to Double-A at the end of the season, gotten called up, had no expectations, pitched great.
Mm-hmm.
Came back to start the year in 2022 in Double-A. Now the expectation, unspoken by, nobody spoke it, but in my head, oh, if I do really well, I'll be in the big league soon.
Yeah.
Okay. There's still so much I had to learn, and just needed humility. And maybe that's what God was teaching me that year.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get to Double-A, that's your shot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're there, and if you're an organization that does call up, like you're 1 good month away from being in the big leagues.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember playing against guys that had come down from the big leagues, whether they were veteran guys or younger guys, but they would send them to Double-A to do rehab, or we had a couple of guys on our team in '08, Scott Feldman, who had pitched in the big leagues a year before out of the bullpen, but was going from kind of being a like sidearm specialist to an over-the-top starter. And so you get to that point and you're like, man, it's right there, And so there is some pressure that comes with that, but there's also some excitement, because you're starting to realize like, hey, this is becoming a reality.
So I guess kind of final series of questions in there. It's, you had a great spring here, just fantastic spring. And then all of a sudden, hey, we got some soreness and we shut down, and then we start to come back. You're looking great. And then bam, hey, I got to get surgery. Where does how does that hit you? You guys, hey, now we got a baby on the way. By the way, congrats.
Yeah.
We can talk about a lack of control that we actually have when we talk about parenting and children, especially now that I've got grown ones. But how does your faith play into that? How does hope and trust and all that kind of work into injury?
Yeah, I think, I'm still learning to surrender, I'd say, the game of baseball to God. Yeah. And like, to me, that looks like finding a greater purpose than just wanting to have the best ERA I could have, or wanting to make a certain amount of money in the big leagues, all the cool things that do come with playing baseball. There's got to be a greater purpose. And so in this season of injury, I feel God like, and I felt it before. This isn't the first time I've been injured in a significant time. Just, hey, what's your purpose? What's your purpose in baseball? And right now, I feel like it's just to be on mission where I'm at. And so like what that looks like for me is just being on mission in the locker room, around my teammates, and in my church, in life group, with friends, with family. Like, how can I leverage where I'm at right now for the glory of God and for the sake of his kingdom? And so maybe that's encouraging others in the locker room. Like, I can't give back to the team on the field right now or serve the organization with my body physically. So maybe I can emotionally, and maybe I can be a really good encourager. You know, I'm no longer the youngest guy in the locker room. So, hey, let me see what guy might be coming up, and the example that was set before me with Evaldi and DeGrom and some of those guys that poured into me, how can I pour into those guys?
That's great. Yeah, that's good.
But I think that just gives me a renewed sense every day when I still show up to the field or rehab of purpose. Yeah. And it just feels, it brings me joy, like a deep, sound, profound sense of joy to be seemingly where God has me right in this season of my life.
Yeah. That's a good perspective to have. It's not easy when you get injured, especially when you rely so much on your body to provide for what you do. It's really easy to get down on yourself and to you know, I don't want to say feel sorry for yourself, but to kind of sulk and, you know, woe is me. But it's such a great perspective for you to have, and a good mindset for you to have, to still know that you can glorify God through this injury by the way that you carry yourself. And you offer so much, you have so much more to offer than just throwing a baseball, you know, to the guys around you. And that's another thing that I don't think a lot of guys don't spend a lot of time talking about, just the amount of pressure that you have on yourself. And when something like this unexpected happens, you know, how do I deal with that? And I think the other side of that too, our wives get a lot of credit, because they're so strong for us, and they have to make so many sacrifices for us, and they have to listen to us when we come home, you know. But I'm so thankful to hear you say that, and you know, we're all rooting for you, you know that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And there's still days, like, I won't lie, there's still days when you wake up and, you know, frustrated to still have, I don't know if you guys can see it, the bionic arm, right? Like, it's, there's frustration that can come with injury too. And so it's not I don't want to paint the picture that I never feel that too. Like, we're all human, but trying to just remind yourself that God's called you to a greater purpose than just playing baseball or whatever your job or profession is. There's a greater purpose.
Yeah, that's the thing. Adversity is going to come, right? It's the character that you're showing in how you handle it. You've handled this one. I mean, I didn't get to walk through any of them with you before, but just from a little distance, just to see how well you've walked through, you know, just the spring has been super impressive. In how you've sunk into your faith, and you've just taken that super calmly, and man, we are rooting for you.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, we'll close it up there, I think, for this one. Again, hey, college coaches, and if you're interested in having the guys come and spend time in the locker room, and some stuff that we probably won't say here can be said in locker rooms that gets a little deeper and just a little more raw, actually is pretty impactful. And, you know, sometimes we don't want to say all those things to our moms and grandmas and other folks, but we know that the guys in the locker rooms and college guys, certainly you can reach out through College Baseball Fellowship on the Instagram, places like that, if you're interested. Otherwise, hey, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.